Brace yourselves, everything's about to get pricier. Remember that sweet, sweet feeling of finding a bargain? Yeah, kiss that goodbye. The cost of living in America is about to skyrocket, and it's all thanks to a certain someone with a penchant for tariffs and tweeting in the wee hours. Buckle up, buttercups, because we're in for a bumpy ride. From the clothes you wear to the food you eat, everything imported into this great land of ours is about to get slapped with a 10% tax. That's right, folks. That new phone, more expensive. That flat-screen TV you've been eyeing, pricier. Even your morning cup of joe could get caught in the crossfire. Trump's tariff bombshell. A 10% hike on everything. Yes, you heard that right. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the global economy, President Trump has announced a sweeping tariff increase that will affect every single import coming into the United States. On a day that will live in infamy, well, at least in the annals of trade wars, this announcement marks a significant escalation in the ongoing trade tensions. The ramifications of this decision are expected to be far-reaching, impacting not just businesses but also consumers who rely on imported goods. President Trump dropped a bombshell. With a stern expression and a decisive gesture, he made it clear that this was not a decision taken lightly. The administration believes this move is necessary to protect American industries and jobs, but critics argue it could lead to higher prices and strained international relations. On April 2, 2025, he announced a sweeping 10% tariff on all imports coming into the United States. This date will likely be remembered as a turning point in the history of global trade, a moment when the rules of the game were dramatically altered. This isn't just some small-time targeted tariff, oh no. This is a comprehensive, across-the-board increase that will affect everything from electronics to clothing, from food to machinery. The scale of this tariff hike is unprecedented, and its impact will be felt in every sector of the economy. This is a full-blown, no-holds-barred assault on goods from every corner of the globe. Countries that have long enjoyed favorable trade terms with the United States are now scrambling to respond. The global supply chain, already strained by recent events, is facing yet another major disruption. And just in case you thought this was some elaborate April Fool's joke, think again. The timing of the announcement, just a day after April Fool's, has led to widespread disbelief and confusion. But make no mistake, this is very real, and the consequences are already beginning to unfold. This tariff extravaganza is set to kick in on April 5, 2025. That gives businesses and consumers just a few days to prepare for the impact. Companies are rushing to adjust their supply chains, while shoppers are hitting the stores to stock up on their favorite imported products before the price hikes take effect. That's right, folks, you've got less than a week to stock up on all your favorite foreign goodies before the price hikes hit. The rush to buy imported goods has led to crowded supermarket aisles and a surge in panic buying. People are filling their shopping carts to the brim, trying to get ahead of the impending price increases. The next few days are sure to be a whirlwind of activity as everyone scrambles to adjust to this new reality. The logic behind the levy, why Trump's taking aim at imports. Now you might be wondering, why would anyone in their right mind do such a thing? Well, according to the White House, it's all about making America great again, of course. They claim these tariffs are necessary to protect American jobs, boost domestic manufacturing, and stick it to those pesky foreigners who've been taking advantage of us for far too long. They argue that by making imported goods more expensive, Americans will be more likely to buy American-made products. This, in turn, will lead to more jobs and a stronger economy. At least that's the theory. The reality, as we'll soon see, is a tad more complicated. Global shockwaves markets reel as recession looms. As you can imagine, the world didn't exactly welcome this news with open arms. Stock markets around the globe went into a tailspin, with investors shedding tears, and billions of dollars, faster than you can say trade war. Even the usually stoic gold market went a bit bonkers, with prices soaring to record highs as investors sought safe havens from the impending economic storm. Economists, those perpetually gloomy folks, are having a field day. They're predicting a surge in inflation that'll make your weekly grocery bill look like a down payment on a small car. And if that wasn't bad enough, they're also warning of a looming recession, both here in the US and potentially globally. Good times. Section 5, from iPhones to groceries. How the tariffs will hit your wallet. Okay, enough with the doom and gloom economics lecture. Let's talk about what really matters, your wallet. How exactly are these tariffs going to impact your everyday life? Well, get ready to open your wallets a little wider because everything from electronics to groceries is about to get a whole lot more expensive. Want to upgrade to the latest iPhone? That'll be an extra $100, please. Need to fill up your gas tank? Expect to shell out a few more dollars at the pump. Even that avocado toast you love so much could become a luxury item as the price of imported avocados skyrockets. Section 6. A divided nation. Supporters and critics clash over tariffs. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. At least, that's what Trump's supporters are saying. They argue that these tariffs are a necessary evil, a short-term pain for long-term gain. They're willing to pay a bit more for their goods if it means sticking it to China and bringing back American jobs. Critics, on the other hand, are calling this a disaster in the making. They argue that these tariffs will hurt American consumers, businesses, and the economy as a whole. They point out that China isn't the only country we import goods from, and that these tariffs will hurt our allies just as much as our rivals. Section 7. Retaliation on the horizon. The world prepares to hit back. And speaking of our allies, they're not exactly thrilled about Trump's latest trade war escapade. Canada, the European Union, and even our buddies down under in Australia have all voiced their displeasure, with some even threatening retaliatory tariffs of their own. Remember that whole trade war thing we mentioned earlier? Yeah, it's starting to feel a lot more real now. The situation is becoming increasingly tense, with no clear winners in sight. One thing's for sure though, this trade war is going to leave a lot of casualties in its wake. And guess who's going to be footing the bill? That's right, folks, you and me. Section 8. Echoes of the past. Are we headed for another Great Depression? Now, some folks might be tempted to dismiss all this talk of trade wars and economic collapse as fear-mongering. They might argue that the world has changed significantly since the 1930s, and that our modern economies are far more resilient. But is that really the case? Are we truly immune to the kind of economic disasters that plagued our ancestors? But history has a funny way of repeating itself. Remember the Great Depression? It was a time of unprecedented economic hardship, where millions lost their jobs, homes, and savings. The stock market crash of 1929 was just the beginning of a decade-long struggle that affected nearly every corner of the globe. Yeah, that wasn't exactly a fun time. Families were torn apart, communities were devastated, and the social fabric of many nations was stretched to its breaking point. The images of breadlines and soup kitchens are etched into our collective memory as stark reminders of what can happen when economies fail. And guess what one of the contributing factors was? It wasn't just the stock market crash. There were several underlying issues, but one of the most significant was the series of protectionist policies that were implemented in the wake of the crash. Yep, you guessed it, tariffs. These were meant to protect domestic industries by making imported goods more expensive. However, they ended up doing more harm than good. Back in 1930, the US government passed the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, a piece of legislation that was supposed to help American businesses by imposing tariffs on foreign goods, which slapped tariffs on over 20,000 imported goods. This was intended to protect American jobs and industries, but it had the opposite effect. The result? A global trade war that plunged the world further into economic depression. Countries retaliated with their own tariffs, leading to a significant drop in international trade. This exacerbated the economic downturn and made recovery even more difficult. Now, we're not saying that history is doomed to repeat itself. The world has indeed changed, and we have learned many lessons from the past. However, the echoes of history are always present, and the decisions we make today can have far-reaching consequences. But it's certainly a cautionary tale that we should all keep in mind. As we navigate the complexities of the modern global economy, it's crucial to remember the lessons of the past and strive to make informed, thoughtful decisions that will lead to a more stable and prosperous future for all. Section 9. The road ahead. What happens next with the tariff tussle? So, what does the future hold? The ongoing tariff tussle has left many wondering about the potential outcomes and the long-term impact on the global economy. With so many variables at play, it's difficult to predict with certainty what will happen next. However, we can explore some possible scenarios and their implications. Will these tariffs actually achieve their intended goals? The primary aim of these tariffs is to protect domestic industries and reduce trade deficits. Proponents argue that by imposing tariffs, the government can level the playing field for American businesses, making them more competitive against foreign imports. This in turn could lead to job creation and economic growth within the country, or will they backfire spectacularly, leaving the American economy in ruins? Critics warn that tariffs could lead to higher prices for consumers, supply chain disruptions, and retaliatory measures from other countries. This could result in a decrease in exports, loss of jobs, and an overall negative impact on the economy. Small businesses, in particular, may struggle to cope with the increased costs and reduced market access. Only time will tell. One thing's for sure though, we're in for a bumpy ride. The uncertainty surrounding the tariff policies has created a volatile environment for businesses and investors. Market fluctuations, changing trade relationships, and evolving political dynamics all contribute to the unpredictability of the situation. Companies must navigate these challenges while trying to maintain stability and growth. The next few months will be crucial. As the effects of the tariffs begin to unfold, stakeholders will closely monitor the economic indicators and policy responses. The decisions made during this period will have far-reaching consequences for the future of international trade and economic stability. Businesses, consumers, and policymakers alike will need to stay informed and adaptable. If the Trump administration doubles down on its protectionist policies, we could see a full-blown trade war erupt, escalating tensions between major economies. This could lead to a series of retaliatory tariffs, further straining international relations and disrupting global supply chains. The ripple effects of such a trade war would be felt across various industries and regions, with devastating consequences for the global economy. A prolonged trade war could result in significant economic downturns, affecting not only the countries directly involved, but also their trading partners. The interconnected nature of the global economy means that disruptions in one region can have cascading effects worldwide, leading to reduced economic growth and increased uncertainty. However, if cooler heads prevail, there's still a chance that a negotiated settlement can be reached. Diplomatic efforts and negotiations could lead to compromises that address the concerns of all parties involved. Such a resolution would help stabilize the global economy and restore confidence in international trade. It would also demonstrate the importance of collaboration and dialogue in resolving complex issues. But for now, all we can do is wait, watch, and hope for the best. The uncertainty surrounding the tariff situation means that individuals and businesses must remain vigilant and prepared for various outcomes. Staying informed about developments and understanding the potential impacts will be crucial in navigating this challenging period, and maybe stock up on some extra toilet paper, just in case. While it may seem like a light-hearted suggestion, being prepared for potential disruptions is a practical step. Ensuring that you have essential supplies can provide peace of mind during uncertain times, just to be safe. In the end, it's about finding a balance between staying informed, being prepared, and maintaining a sense of humor. As we navigate the complexities of the tariff tussle, let's remember to take care of ourselves and each other.